which you can start.
Sruti-smriti-purāṇānaṁ ālayam karuṇālayam namāmi bhagavata-pāda Shankaram lokashankaram sadāśiva-samārambhāṁ Shankarācārya-madhyamāṁ asmadācārya-paryantāṁ Vande Guru-paraṁparāṁ Vasudeva-sutam devam Kamsa-chāణūra-mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. With the abundant blessings of our Acharya Swamiji, we are proceeding with our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita with special emphasis on the commentary of Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada. We are in chapter 10. Up to 4 slokas we did last week. We are on 5th sloka now. Chapter 10 is Vibhuti Yoga, the manifested glories of Bhagavan. That is the subject. So, Bhagavan started saying that the entire creation is his Vibhuti. There is no need to look for a special Vibhuti. Everything is his Vibhuti. What is not his Vibhuti? That is how it started. But for the sake of our understanding, ordinary man's understanding, he started listing initially certain qualities which we developed. Shloka number 4 listed some qualities. Shloka number 5 lists some more qualities. Ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodhanam yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithagvithaha. Ahimsa apida praninam, not causing any violence to any living being. In fact, ahimsa has been defined in Shastras as not causing physical harm to any living being. Even mentally, even through words, no ahimsa should be practiced. That is the final ahimsa which we have to reach. Samata. Samata is equanimity. Seeing Parameshwara in every being, that is samata. Samachittata, equanimity. Tushtihi. Tushtihi is contentment. Santoshaha paryapta buddhihi labheshu. Whatever we have, whatever Bhagavan has given us, be content with it. That is tushtihi. Santushtihi, tushtihi. Tapaha. Indriya samyama purvakam sharira pedanam. Control of sense organs and not caring for comfort of the body. Torturing the body is the direct meaning of Sharira Pedana. But what we have to understand is not purposely going and harming our body. That is not correct. Shastra will never permit such a thing. If our restrictions cause some torture to the body, don't care for it. That is the meaning. That is how tapasvis have been exposing themselves to the elements. Extreme heat, Panchagni, tapas. On 4 corners you have 4 fires and Surya on the top, exposing yourself to the rain, exposing yourself to extreme cold. That is tapas. Dhanam should be practiced properly distributed. Yashaha ayashaha. Yashaha dharma nimitta kirtihi. If you have been practicing dharma, people will praise you. That praise is yashas. What is ayashas? The opposite. Adharma nimitta akirtihi. I am reading from Shankara's commentary directly. Just opposite. Adharma nimitta akirtihi. Ill fame due to following the path of adharma. Bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prasagvidhaha. Prasagvidhaha bhavaha. Different types of feelings, different states, different feelings, different states accrue to human beings or to any beings, all beings. Bhutanam bhavanti, accrue to them. Matta eva, from me only. There is nothing but him. All this is only a false appearance. That is Advaita. So that point Bhagavan is mentioning here by saying that whatever emotions, whatever state you are in, that is God given. That is not, don't think that you have landed yourself in that feeling or in that state. Bhavanti bhava bhutanam, bhutanam bhava bhavanti prasagvidhaha mattayeva sakarmanurupena. Shankara adds very cleverly here. According to your karma, sakarma anurupena. According to your karma, you will get this result, the state in which you are, the feeling in which you find yourself, etc., etc. Now, I picked up some Subhashitas which explains this. Yeah. First Subhashita I picked up is this. Nodanvan arthita meti sadambhobhishcha purjate atma tu patratam neyaha patramayanti sampadaha. Because this shloka and the previous shloka, 4 and 5, talk about qualities which we should develop, which will put us on the right spiritual path. That is same thing is being said here. By giving an example of ocean. Udanvan is ocean. Nodanvan arthita meti. Sadambo vishta purjate. Ocean is ever filled with water. Is there any time when ocean is not filled with water? No. So it is not looking for anything from anyone. It is ever full. Atmadu patratam neyaha patrama yanti sampadaha. Similarly, your Atma should become suitable for Bhagavan's grace, patrata. Just as the ocean is ever content, does not expect anything. Similarly, you should also be ever content. Tushti, he said, no, Bhagavan. You should ever content with whatever Bhagavan has decreed for us. Atma tu patratam neyaha. You should continuously work on the Atma for making it eligible for Bhagavan's grace. That is the meaning. Atma tu patratam neyaha patramaya anti sampadaha. Once you have attained the quality, attained the eligibility, patram ayanti sampadaha. Sampadaha ayanti. All wealth will come to you automatically. You don't have to run after wealth. Whatever wealth is in your interest, including moksha, will come to you. And another one I picked up is this one. What is Sheelam? What is good conduct? This sloka defines it. Adroha sarvabhuteshu karmana manasagira anugrahasya danancha Sheelame tad vidurbudhaha etat budhaha Sheelam viduhu. The wise people call this as Sheelam, good conduct. Which one? Adroha sarvabhuteshu. Never conspire against any being, never develop hatred against any living being. All living beings are manifestations of Bhagavan, all are vibhutis of Bhagavan. Karmana manasa gira, not just by, as I said in case of ahimsa, same, not just by deed, but also by thought, word and deed. Anugrahasya janancha, not only not developing hatred, not developing attitude of conspiracy, always be in a pleasant mood. Anugrahasya, try to be helpful to others. Dhanamcha, whatever you can give to others, please give. Whatever way you can help, whatever you can give, whatever you can part with, do part with it. This is Shila. Similarly, there is a shloka in Niti Shatakam, Bhartruhari's Niti Shatakam. Asanto nabhyarthyaha suhurdapinayach krishadhanaha. Asanto nabhyarthyaha. Those who are not good, never expect anything from them. Those who are not virtuous. It doesn't mean you can expect from virtuous people. You should not expect from anyone. But if there is an emergency, even in an emergency, don't go to a man who is not virtuous. Now, finally, he is saying, this is a difficult path. Now, initially, he is giving the list of what you have to do. Suhurdapinaya krishadhanaha. When you are in financial difficulty, he may be your best friend, well-meaning friend, suhrid. Even then, if he is himself poor, krishadhanaha, don't go and beg him. Priya nyaya vrittihi malinam asubhange asukaram. Priya nyaya vrittihi. Never leave the path of justice. Do justice to everyone around you. Always, in all your actions. That should be your action of love, Priya. You should love to do justice. Malinam asubhange asukaram. Malinam, dirty work, something which is adharma, something which is prohibited. Asubhangepi asukaram. Here he has used beautiful terminology, beautiful poetry. Asu means prana. Asubhange is even at the cost of prana, even at the point of death, even if you have to die. Asukaram, it should be difficult. Sukaram is easy, asukaram is difficult. That means impossible. Even at the cost of your life, do not do dirty things. That is the simple meaning. Vipadgitchayam. You are faced with a danger. See, these are all various situations in a human life. That is why he is listing all of them. How you should conduct yourself. Vipadgitchayhi stheyam vipadi. At the time of danger, whatever be the nature of danger. Uchaihi stheyam. Never swerve from your heights of virtues. Stick to that. Padam anuvideyam cha mahatam. In all this, you should follow some example. Great people's example you should follow. Padam anuvideyam cha mahatam. Satam kenodishtam visham asidhara vratamidam. Finally, he concludes, this is what is expected of virtuous people. But who wrote all this? I don't know. Poetically, he is very nicely putting it, as a poet. Kenodishtam. Who wrote all this as qualities of virtuous people? It is impossible to practice. Vishamam asidhara vratamidam. Asidhara vratam. Walking on the sharp edge of a blade. Walking on the sharp edge of a sword. Asidhara. That is the vratam. That is the way of life which is being mentioned here. Vishamam. Very difficult. So, even though it is difficult, we should try. That is the idea. That is why it finds a place in Niti Shatakam. ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodhanam yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithagvidhaha maharshayah saptapurve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jata yesham lokaimas prajaha. Now it was the listing of qualities which are not substantial, which are not made of substance, which are in our minds, that he mentioned. Then he is going to talk about more solid vibhutis. Now, before that, he started saying, Maharshaya Saptapurve Tatvaro Manavastatha Madbhava Manasa Jata Yesham Lokaima Prajaha Madbhavaha Manasa Jata. Maharshaya Sapta, the seven Maharshis who came at the beginning of creation, they came from my mind, Manasa Jataha. They came from Paramatma's mind. Madbhavaha. They were copies of Paramatma. Means what? They had all the virtues which we saw. Who are those seven Maharshis? Brigvadayaha. Brigum Marichamatra Pulastyam Pulaham Kratum Vasishtancha Mahadejaha Sosrijan Manasa Sutan Saha Manasa Sutan Asrajat. He created the seven Maharshis with his mind. Bhrigu, Marichi, Atri, Pulastya. Pulastya is the grandfather of Ravana. Paulastya, that is why he is called. Pulaha, Kratu, Vasishtam cha Mahatejaha, the great Vasishtha. These are the seven Maharshis. Maharshaya Sapta Purve Tatvaro Manavastatha Purve Tatvaraha. Purve. Now, there are two interpretations of this Purve Tatvaraha Manavaha. First interpretation is, as per Shankara, he is putting all this together. Purve Tatvaro Manavaha. Four Manus who were at the beginning. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. We saw that. 14 Indras, 14 Manus, 14 Apsaras, etc., etc. There is a group which are 14 in one day of Brahma, which is 1000 Chaturyugas. We saw that. So, out of the 14, he is picking up four अतीतकालसम्बन्धिनः चत्वारः मनवः तथा सावर्णः इति प्रसिद्धाः. They were all Savarnis. Brahma Savarnah, Rudra Savarnah, Dharma Savarnah, Daksha Savarnah iti prasiddhaah. The four Savarni Manus, there are other Manus, Swayambhu Manu, Sarochaksha Manu. Now we are in Vaivasvata Manu's time, Vaivasvata Manvantara. He is not talking about those Manus, he is picking up four who were there, very famous at the beginning. That is one interpretation. Another interpretation is Purve Chatvaraha Manavaha. Manavaha means all Manus, all 14. Purve Chatvaraha, the four at the beginning. The four at the beginning, very well known, is Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanatkumara. The four mind-born sons of Brahma. The four mind-born sons of Brahma. They were born jnanis. They would not go into karma kanda at all. They would not engage in progeny as Brahma wanted. They refused. They went for tapas. So, it is appropriate to understand Purve Tatvaraha as the four. This is another interpretation. Two interpretations are possible. Madbhava, Manasa, Jata, all these people who have been listed, they came from my mind and they are endowed with qualities similar to me. Yesham lokaimas prajaha. All these Savara Jangam Rakshanaha Prajaha. All the creation consisting of moving and non-moving objects, all of them owe their existence to these people who are listed here. Yesham loka imah prajaha. Yesham manonam maharshinam te srishtihi loke imaha savarajanga lakshanaha prajaha. These manus and these maharshis are the cause for all creation. If you read the story of creation, Marichi we saw as one of the 7 Maharishis. Marichi's son was Kashyapa. And in fact, the entire creation almost owes its existence to Kashyapa. Kashyapa married several wives and gave birth to so many species, even serpents, even eagles, even fishes, all. Apart from Devas, Asuras, they are also Kashyapa's children. And similarly, all humans came from Manus. Except humans, all other species were produced by Kashyapa. So that is why he is saying all the Maharshis and Manus are responsible for all this creation. Maharshayas sapta purve chatvaro manavasthatha madhava manasaja ata yesham lokaima prajaha etam vibhutim yogam cha Mayo vetti tattvataha sovikambena yogena yugyate natra samshayaha. Now he is saying, what is the idea in going through all these vibhutis? Why I am recounting these vibhutis? Because that will at least put you in touch with Bhagavan. That is a simple idea. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mamayo vetti tattvataha. All these glorious manifestations which I am listing, which I am going to list. Yogam cha, yuktim cha atmanaha ghatanam. That means whatever I have done, whatever I have created, that is yoga. Mama vibhutim yogam cha tattvataha yaha vetti. Whatever my vibhutis are there, my yoga is there, my powers are there, my creations are there. Whoever understands it in reality, properly. So vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshayaha saha avikampena yogena aprachalitena samyak darshana sthairya lakshanena. What is the benefit for him? One who knows this, he is telling. He gets avikampena yogena, something which never deviates. Aprachalitena, never shakes. There is no deviation. Samyak darshana sthairya lakshanena. Deviation from what? Samyak darshana sthairya lakshana. Always having the right perception. What is right perception? Seeing Paramatma everywhere, not seeing creation as creation, creation as Paramatma. That is Samyak darshana. So, in that you will be firm. Sthairya lakshana. You will be firm in this, that avikampa, which will never change with your adversity or with anything. Yujyate, he gets attached to me with avikampena yogena, with this kind of right perception which never changes, he gets attached to me. Natra samshaya, there is no doubt in this. Why he is saying this? Because once you have identified yourself with Paramatma, whenever, at least, whenever you look at vibhutis are endless. He is himself going to say that. In other words, you constantly focus on Paramatma, not on the world. So naturally, you are eligible for attachment to Paramatma. Yujyate. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha Bhavasamanvitaha. How wise people worship me. Buddhaha Bhavasamanvitaha bhajante, mam bhajante. Buddhaha, wise people. Bhavasamanvitaha, with proper feeling. Paramartha Tattva Abhiniveshaha, with proper feeling, proper understanding of Paramartha Tattva, of supreme goal. That is supreme reality. With that as the goal, supreme reality as the goal, the wise people, they worship me. In what sense they worship me? Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate. From me, everything originates. Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the origin, source of everything. Mattas sarvam pravartate. From me only, everything originates. I am the source of everything. From me only, everything originates. The second statement, what is the meaning? What is the difference between first and second? Shankara explains. Mattaha eva sthitinacha kriya phalo bhoga lakshanam vikriya rupam sarvam jagat pravartate. All this world which you see around you, all this world which you see around you, which goes through sustenance, dissolution, and fruits of karma, kriya phala upabhoga lakshana. This is the kind of summary of what we see around us. What you see around you is sustenance of the creation. Everything is being sustained by Parama. Everybody gets food. Everybody gets a place to rest. All this is due to Paramatma. So that is sthiti. Nasha. When the time comes, there is dissolution. When the time comes, people die. Beings die. When the time comes, the whole earth is dissolved. Kriyaphalopabhoga lakshanam, and the variety in what you see around you is entirely due to past karmas. Kriyaphalopabhoga lakshanam. Vikriya rupam, ever changing. That is the essence of this jagat around us. All this comes from me. Mattas sarvam pravartate. Knowing this, iti matva, knowing this, wise people with the right approach, avagata paramartha tattvaha, because they already know the right principles of paramartha, supreme goal, they have that supreme goals in their mind, bhava samanvitaha, they come and worship me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti mutva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Macchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayanta shyamam nityam sushyanti cha ramanti cha. How these wise people behave? He said Buddha bhava samanvita. Wise people who are endowed with the proper attitude. How they behave? What is speciality about them? Now, in this one shloka, he brings out the essence of how a devotee conducts himself. Macchittaha madgata pranaha parasparam bodhayantaha. Macchittaha. They don't have anything else in mind. Their mind is fully focused on me. Madgata pranaha. This has two interpretations according to Shankara. Gataha praptaha chakshuradeha pranaha yesham te madgata pranaha. Prana can be interpreted as life breath or the sense organs, because sense organs also are operating due to prana shakti. So first meaning he gives is chakshuradeha, the sense organs like eye, etc. All of these, because this is very important, all the sense organs should be dedicated to Paramatma, not dedicated to worldly matter. Doesn't mean you don't engage in worldly activities with your sense organs. Without sense organ, no activity can be done. No, it doesn't mean that. While engaging in worldly activity, as he has told us, in what attitude we should engage. That is the same thing coming up in a different manner. So, all the sense organs are dedicated to me. That is one meaning. Or, Madhyate Jivanaha, prana can be interpreted as Jivana, very life. So their very life is dedicated to me. Either you say their sense organs are dedicated to me, or their very life is dedicated to me. Parasparam bodhayantaha. They speak to each other about my leelas. Avagamayantaha parasparam anyonyam. They talk to each other about Paramatma only. Because human nature is to talk. Human nature is, unless you retire to a forest and go for tapas, unless you do that, that's the only occasion when you need not have the tendency to talk. But otherwise, there is a human tendency to talk. Even sannyasis, you see, they talk. Talking is basic nature of a human being. That is why he is saying parasparam bodhayantaha. What do they talk about? Bodha is actually teaching. They teach each other. What does it mean? They talk about Vedanta in such a manner, they go into the research on Vedanta when they talk. They don't talk about ordinary things. Parasparam bodhayantaha kathayantascha mam nityam dushyanti cha ramanti cha. When they are not talking about Vedanta or five principles, they will talk about my leelas. Kathayantascha mam nityam. Always, always they talk about my leelas. Jnana viryaadi dharmaihi vishishtam mam. Mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Kathayantascha mam. They talk about me. Jnana viryadi dharmaihi vishishtam mam. What are the qualities that they talk about? They talk about my jnana, my knowledge, my strength, my power. This kind of Vishesha dharmas. Jnana viryadi dharmaihi vishishtam mam. Which are very special only to Paramatma. So they talk about that. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. While they talk like this, they get enormous satisfaction. Tushyanti. Okay. It's just satisfaction. They don't get any pleasure. No. Ramanti cha. They get extraordinary pleasure. They get complete satisfaction. They get extraordinary pleasure. In fact, Shankara goes to the extent of saying, Ramanti cha ratim cha prapnuvanti priya sangatya eva. Just as an ordinary man gets pleasure when he meets his beloved, priya sangatya eva. That kind of pleasure these people get by talking to among themselves about my leelas. Macchitta madhyata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayanta mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam preetipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam ye namam upayanti te. Because they have dedicated themselves entirely to me, what do I do? What is the anugraha which I give to them? She said, Tesham satatayuktanam preetipurvakam bhajatam. Look at the very carefully worded qualifications. Before you can expect Bhagavan to show his grace, you have to qualify yourselves. This is the qualification. Satatayuktanam, always attached to me, never focusing on worldly goals. Uninterruptedly united with me. That is Satatayuktanam. Preeti Purvakam Bhajatam. They adore me with love. Not because Bhagavan has said so in Bhagavad Gita, or Vedanta says so, or some Guru says, I am forced to do all this. No. With love. Preeti Purvakam Bhajatam. They worship with love and they are ever united with me, with no interruption. In that case, Buddhi Yogam Dadami, Yena Mam Upayanti Te, Tam Buddhi Yogam Dadami. I give that Buddhi Yoga to them. What is Buddhi Yoga? Samyak Darshana Lakshanena. Samyak Darshanam Mattattva Vishayam. Tena Yogaha Buddhi Yogaha. The right perception, the right principles, the right theory, right principle, right goal. That is Buddhi Yoga. The term Buddhi Yoga was used in chapter 3 in context of Karma Yoga as meaning Karma Yoga, using your Buddhi properly to dedicate all your karmas to Ishvara and not claim any ownership of karma, not looking for any fruits of karma. So all this was discussed. But in that context also, Bhagavan used the term Buddhi Yoga. But here, he is using Buddhi Yoga in a slightly different, slightly higher sense. Samyak darshanam mattattva vishayam. The right perception. What is right perception? Paramatma only exists, the world does not exist. That is the right perception according to Advaita Vedanta. That is the theme which continuously occurs right through. Mattattva vishayam. Paramatma principles. That is the Buddhi Yoga. They will not deviate from this. I give them this Buddhi Yoga. Yena te mam upayanti. Using that Buddhi Yoga, they reach me. They reach me means, is it like our traveling from place A to place B, from Chennai to Delhi? No. They reach their Atma. Atma bhutam atmatvena upayanti. I am always there with them as their Atma, and they perceive that Atma and they reach that Atma. They don't have to go elsewhere. We are all Atma Jnanis in that sense. The only problem is we don't realize. That is what he is saying here. That realization, self-realization, he gives by giving that Buddhi Yoga. Tesham satatayuktānaṁ bhajatāṁ prītipūrvakam dadāmi buddhi yogam tam yena māṁ upayanti te tesham evanukampārtham aham ajñānayam tamaha nāṣayam yātma bhāvastho jnānadīpena bhāsvata. Now these two slokas, 10 and 11, are very famous, very celebrated slokas, because this shows, in essence, how Bhagavan blesses us if we take to him. So this is a statement made by Bhagavan directly to Arjuna, saying, this is what I do in these cases. Tesham evanukampartham, tesham anukampartham eva. Tesham eva katham na nama shreyasyat iti. Anukampa means compassion. Purely because of compassion on them. Eva means purely, emphasis. Purely because of compassion on them. What is the compassion? Katham na nama shreyasyat, Shankara explains. How will I help their well-being? How will I help their shreyas? What can I do for them? This is my compassion. What do I do? Aham ajñānajam tamaha nāshayāmi. I destroy the darkness in their minds, born of ajnana. I destroy the darkness in their minds, born of ajnana. What is this ajnana darkness? Avivekataha jatam mithya pratyaya lakshanam mohandhakaram tamaha nāshayāmi. We have seen it before, but Shankara, in his compassion, he is explaining it again. Because of aviveka, because of non-discrimination, we think truth as false and false as truth. Mithya pratyaya lakshana. We get deluded. Moha andhakaram. That is darkness. The delusion is the darkness. That is ajnana. That arises from ajnana, which is mithya pratyaya lakshana. That is confusing with reality and false. So that is nachayami. How do I do it? That also he is explaining. How do I destroy their darkness? How do you drive darkness away? By lighting a lamp, isn't it? Simple. Because he described ajnana as tamaha, darkness. So he said, Vasvata jnanadipena atmabhavastaha. How do I remove their darkness, which is in their minds? Atmabhavastaha. I go and sit there in their minds. It's not something coming from anywhere else outside. This we have to constantly remember. That is one of the messages of the Gita. No external help is required. Help is always available at hand in our Atma. Atma Bhavasaha. I go and sit in their Atma. In fact, I'm always seated in there, which he's going to tell later on. I'm always seated in them. But they didn't recognize that. Now, for them to recognize me, I give them jnana, which is light. Jnana deepena bhasvata, shining, brilliant, brilliant light of jnana. I give them, sitting in their Atma, and that light drives away the darkness of ajnana. Now here, Shankara goes into, I should say, delirium, because it is something which Bhagavan says, I am driving away darkness. I mean, this is the very essence of Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? So he goes into great detail, very beautiful explanations he gives. He says, Atmabhavastaha, Atmanaha bhavaha antಃkaranāṣayah tasminneva sthitah sanne, sitting in their Atma. Jnanadipena, viveka pratyaya rupena. What is the Jnanadipa? That is viveka pratyaya. That is indicative of discrimination. Viveka pratyaya. A lamp will have a wick, oil, etc. Isn't it? So he is explaining all that. Bhakti prasada snehābhiṣiktena. What is the oil? Sneha is oil. Bhakti prasada snehābhiṣiktena. Oil of clear devotion. Bhakti prasada. That is, I give them clear devotion so that they don't look here and there. They are devoted to me. That is the oil which the lamp is burnt. Lamp burns. Madbhavanadi nivesha vateritena. You need good air around that for the lamp to sustain. So what is the air? Madbhavanabhinivesha vateritena. The air which is suffused with love for me. That is the air. Brahmacharyadi sadhana samskaravat prajnavartina. Varti is the wick. What is the wick in this lamp? I engage them in proper samskaras, like brahmacharya, etc. They take to proper samskaras, proper practices, so that this lamp is maintained. Brahmacharyadi sadhana samskaravat prajnavartina. That knowledge of all the samskaras, I give them. That is the wick. विरक्त अंतःकरणाधारेण विषय व्यावृत्तिचित्त रागद्वेषादिविषय निवातापवर्गस्थेन. He is not satisfied with this description. He is saying, if a heavy wind comes, this lamp will be blown off. I don't want that. So I avoid heavy winds. What is the heavy wind I avoid? Vishaya vyavritti ragadvesha. Attachment and hostility, hate and liking towards mundane objects. That is the heavy wind, which I completely avoid. I never allow them to engage in this. Virakta antakarana dharena. And that lamp is sitting on a firm foundation. What is the foundation? Virakta antakarana, with proper virakti, proper discrimination, detachment. With proper detachment, this lamp is sitting firmly. Nitya pravarti ekagra dhyana janita samyak darshana bhaswata. Now he said bhaswata, isn't it? That also he is explaining. Shining brilliantly. What is the shine? Because the whole idea of lamp is metaphorical, isn't it? So metaphor has to be explained. That's what is Nitya pravritte ekagri dhyana janita samyak darshana bhaswada. The shine or the brilliance is the right perception, never getting confused. What right perception? Nitya pravritte ekagri dhyana janita. And the right perception arises because of continuous focus, continuous concentration. That is the Jnana Deepa. This is the explanation given by Bhagavan Shankara. I picked up the shloka from Sri.P.R. Saptati. This is a stotra of 70 shlokas on Devi, written by Narayana Bhattatri, the author of Narayaniyam, who spent his last days worshipping Devi in a place called Muktisthala, and he attained Devi's Sayujyam. Long after he wrote Narayaniyam. He lived many years after he wrote, because he wrote Narayaniyam at a very young age, and he lived a very long life. Toward the end of his life, he wrote in a place called Muktisthala near Guruvayur, and he poured his devotion into 70 shlokas. One of shloka is this. Ghoram pada sahasrakam prakatayan ashasu bhasam patihi ध्वान्तं नो पुनरान्तरं शमयितुं शक्नोति शैलात्मजे त्वत्पादद्वतयेन कोमलतरेणानेन चेतस्पृशा जन्तूनां बहिरन्तरन्धतमसं कृन्तस्यनन्तं शिवे. He is addressing the Devi in front of him, and he says, Bhasampatihi, that is Surya, the best among luminescent objects. Goram Padasahasragam Prakatayanna. He is ever distributing. He is ever showing terrible thousands of kiranas, rays. On that there can be no doubt. So through those terrible hot rays of light, what does he do? Dvantam no punarantaram samayatam shaknoti shahilatmaje. He is able to drive away darkness, no doubt about it. Surya drives away all darkness around us, but he cannot drive away the internal darkness. No samayatam shaknoti antaram. He cannot go and antaram dvantam. The darkness which is inside me, he cannot drive it away. Then what is the method for driving away that darkness? Tatpada dvitayena komalatareena anena chetasprasha jantunam bahirantharandha tamasam krintasyanantam shive. With your lotus feet, with your pair of lotus feet, komalatarena, very komala, very soft, you go and touch the hearts of these devotees. Ketas Prasha, Jantunam. You go and touch the minds of these devotees very gently, with your very gentle lotus feet, then what happens? Bhagiranta Randhatamasam Krantati Anantam. All darkness takes to its heels. It is driven not only inside, outside. The Surya was able to drive only the external darkness, whereas Devi's feet drive away the internal as well as external. Bahihi antaha, andharamasam, very dark, exceeding pitch dark. That darkness, andhatamasam, your feet are able to, lotus feet are able to drive away. Krintasi anantam, endless. The Darkness has been accumulated over several births. That is there. But even then, this your lotus feet drives away the darkness. This internal and external darkness should be interpreted as external darkness is not seeing Paramatma everywhere. That is external darkness. Internal darkness is not getting connected to Paramatma who is inside us. Thinking that we do something with our hands, etc., etc. It means continuously connected to Paramatma internally is one. Second is not seeing Paramatma in all creation outside. That is Bahiranta Andha Tamasa. So the same idea has been brought out here. Now, Virakta Antakarana Adharena, he said, Bhagavan Shankara said in his commentary, isn't it? For the Jnana Deepa, it is sitting on a very firm foundation, and that is Virakti, this detachment. He said that. So on this, there is a statement in Srimad Bhagavatam by Bhagavan. Naparameshtyam namahe, very famous shloka is this. Those who are familiar with Bhagavatam would immediately remember this. Naparameshtyam namahendradhishyam nasarvabhaumam narasadhipatyam nayoga-siddhirapunarbhavam va mayyarpitatmehechati madvinanyate. Very beautiful shloka. Mayyarpita atma, one who has dedicated his entire atma to me. Na ichhati, he does not look for, he does not desire. What he does not desire? Na parameshtyam, the status of Brahma. Na mahendradhishyam, the power and pelf of Devendra. That's Arvabhaumam. He started from the topmost position, Brahma. Then he went to Devendra. Now he goes to the emperor on earth. That's Arvabhaumam Chakravarti. Rathadhipatyam, the Patala Loka is as full of pleasure as Surgaloka. People don't realize it. That is mentioned in Shastras. Patala Loka pleasures are similar to Surga. So he says, Rathadhipatyam, I don't want the pleasures of Patala Loka. Nayoga Siddhi, there are Ashtamaha Siddhis, etc., etc., which you get on your spiritual path, which you should not take to. If you take to those siddhis, you will get diverted. So your goal will not be reached. Shastra is very repeatedly mentioning this. So he is saying that. Nayoga Siddhi, whatever siddhis come to you because of the power of yoga, I don't want that. Apunarbhavam va, this is the height, this is the crux. Even moksha, apunarbhavam is not being reborn. That is moksha. Even that, they don't care. My devotee does not care for all this. Even moksha. Mayyarpitatme ichhati madvinanyate. Then what do they want? Madvina anyate. They are looking only for me. They don't look for anything else. It is same as moksha. It is putting in a very poetic way, saying that they don't look for anything other than me. They don't look for anything other than Paramatma, if you say. That is moksha. What else is? What he says is, having moksha as the goal is one thing. Having Bhagavan as the goal is another thing. Paramatma as the goal is another thing. Now, it's a technical issue. Even moksha as a goal is not all that good, though it is recommended in Shastras. If you have Paramatma as the goal, that is even better. That is the, both mean the same, but this is the kind of attitude. तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थमहम् अज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. अर्जुन उवाच परं ब्रह्म परं धाम पवित्रं परमं भवान् पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम् Adidevam ajam vibhum. Now is the time for Arjuna to speak. Now Arjuna normally restricts himself to only one shloka or so, but here he speaks no, more than that. For 4 or 5 shlokas he speaks. Similarly, in the next chapter also he speaks. Because he is so overwhelmed with what Bhagavan said about vibhutis. So he is saying, he is bursting out. He says, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. Bhavan Param Brahma. You are the Supreme Brahma. I know that. Param Dhama. You are the Supreme Abode. You are the Supreme Abode to which all of us should go. We should always, at the end of the day, we come back to our home, isn't it? Home is the best. So what is the home for us? That is you. Param Dhama. Of course, Dhama can also be interpreted as brilliance. Param Dhama, supreme brilliance. But I think abode is a better interpretation here. Paramam Pavitram, the most pure. Purusham Shashwatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. Shashwatam Purusham. You are the eternal Purusha. Purusha is a term used in connection with Atma, which is inside the human body. Puri Shayate iti Purushaha we saw last time. So whenever somebody says Purusha, that is why when Paramatma is referred to, he is referring as Purushottama, which is coming in the later chapter. So here Purusha should be understood as Atma, which is residing in our body. Shashwatam Purusham, though he appears to reside in our body, who is the person who is residing is eternal. He is not dying along with our body. Purusham Shashwatam Divyam. He is divine. He is not. Divine means aprakrita, not connected with anything which we see around us, not connected with anything earthly, not connected with Panchabhutas. That is the Divyam. Adidevam, he is the first among devas, naturally. Ajam, he was never born, unborn. Vibhum, he is all pervading. So all this I have understood. That is what Arjuna says. All this I have understood, that you are the supreme Brahman. You are the supreme abode for all of us to go. And you are the most purifying source. You are the eternal Purusha in all the jivas. And you are divine, not you are aprakrita, not mundane. And you are the first among devas. And you were never born, unborn. And you pervade everything. There is nothing around me without you. All this I have understood. Arjuna continues with more slokas. I think we will take them up tomorrow because there may not be time for doing one more sloka. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashwatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. I think next one sloka we can finish. Ahusvam Rishayas Sarve Devarshir Naradas Asito Devalo Vyasaha Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. How did I know this? All rishis come and tell me this. Ahuhu. This is how you have been described by rishis. Tvam rishayaha ahuhu. Ahuhu. They tell. All rishis come and tell me about you. Sarve rishayaha. Devarshir Naradas Tatha. Devarshi Narada. Devarshi is a very rare category. Either you are a deva or you are a rishi. Rishis are generally human beings. It is very rare for a deva to be a rishi. That is why whenever Narada is referred to, he is always referred to as Devarshi. It's a very rare. There are few Devarshis, he is not singing alone. Asito Devalo Vyasaha Sayam Chaiva Brahmishime. In fact, Asita and Devala are also Devarshis. Their names are coming in Mahabharata. Vyasa, everybody knows. Who does not know Vyasa? All these people all the rishis, all the Deva rishis, all the Deva rishis, including Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa himself. Vyasochistam Jagat Sarvam, that is the greatness of Vyasa. Means all this Jagat which we see around us is the spit of Vyasa, Uchishtam. Means what? That means he only has created all this world around us. Because his energy is pervading all around us. All Puranas have come from him. All Vedas have been classified by him. All Shastras, he has encouraged the rishis to make. So he is the prime source. So Vyasa Chishtam Jagat Sarvam. So that Vyasa also says all this, whatever I am saying. Swayam Chaiva Brahvi, all this is okay. That man says, this man says. You yourself have told me. Swayam Chaiva Bravishi me, you yourself have declared. Bravishi, me Bravishi, you have told me. Told me what? Whatever I have said in the previous sloka. Param Brahma, Param Dhav, etc. This is approved by you yourself. And this has been told to me by all rishis, Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, and yourself. Ahuswam Rishayat Sarve Devarshir Naradattatha Asito Devalo Vyasaha Sayanchaiva Bravishime. I think we stop with this. We meet again tomorrow at 7 AM IST. Sunday, tomorrow, 7 AM IST as usual. Any questions before we close?
Those are questions. Please unmute yourself, turn on your video and ask questions. Please. Yes, Rajim, go ahead.
Small doubt. I'm not sure if I'm thinking a right way. You mentioned that all species other than human being are originated from Kashyap Rishi. And
Yes.
rest all from the Manu Rishi. But we do have like this Gotram, Kashyapa Gotram in like us, like human
Yes,
beings.
yes. Yeah.
Is that can relate or I'm getting it wrong?
No, he must have blessed this particular race who owe their existence to Kashyapa Gotra. Kashyapa might have blessed those, not necessarily he is the origin.
Okay.
Because humans have come from Manu. All humans have come from Manu.
Okay, ma'am.
The first Manu, Swayambhu Manu and Shataruchi, they were the progenitors of all humans. Then other Manus came. They are all kings actually, rulers, these Manus, the subsequent Manus. The first Manu was the progenitor of human being, that is how the human being came into being. So, well, this Kashyapa Gotra might have come due to the influence of Kashyapa on certain human groups. Maybe they owed something. See, it's all very difficult to say. But they might have prayed to Kashyapa for some, see, like we have Kuladeva concept. So people go and pray. So this group might have prayed to Kashyapa and Kashyapa might have blessed them. That is how it must have started. Because every group owes their existence to a Rishi, Bharadwaja, Vishwamitra, etc., etc. So this group might have associated themselves with Kashyapa. That is how it must have done.
Okay, Mama. Thank you.
On the instructions of Manu himself, because Manu himself is a devotee of all these Sapta Rishis. That is how it must have happened. So that has not been put down in writing anywhere, but this is how it must have happened.
Okay, thank you.
Anything
Any other
else?
question? Yes, Ravi ji, go ahead.
Namaskaram. When you say that creations are from Manu and as well as Kashyap, then normally it has been said that the creation is from Brahma. Is it that Brahma gives his Shakti to these people and then they create the...
No. Kashyapa is the son of Marichi. Marichi is the son of Brahma. So everybody comes from Brahma. Similarly, Manu comes directly from Brahma. The right part of Brahma is Manu, left part is Manu's wife. He created Manu and Manu's wife from his own body. A lot of creation he did from his own person. Like Bhrigu was his mind-born son. From his mind he created. Narada he created from his soot. like that.
So when we say creation is from Brahma, he is the origin.
Yes,
Rest of things
yes,
have been created by.
Yes, yes. This is the secondary origin, what we are talking about.
Okay.
So we close for the day. We meet again tomorrow at 7 AM IST. Namah Parvati Pate Har Har Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Ram Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Sri Radha Rajeshwari Jai Jaya.
Thank you, Guruji.